All right, so today is July the 4th, which over here in the United States means it's Independence Day, right? Today is the day that America won its independence from Britain. You know, how many years ago? I believe, what is it, like 248, 249 years ago today, which is ironically nearly 250 years. And the reason why that's ironic is because many historians state that most civilizations throughout history, most empires only last about 250 years, and then they start to decline. So, if history does repeat itself, it certainly seems like, looking at modern day America, this country certainly is in her decline, whether we're talking about the nation's economy, whether we're talking about the nation's morals and, practices of daily life in society. I mean, shit, it's so bad right now. You got people in their 20s that don't even know if they're actually male or female or not. Like, I mean, seriously, there's literally people out there in college who are confused about their genders, right? Like, oh, I don't know, I might actually be a female, right? And then women out there like, well, I could be a man, right? I got certain aspects of a man. It's like, wow, this is crazy. And then on the other hand, there's many people out here, scientists and doctors who are saying, well, yeah, children as young as, 7 or 8, it's perfectly safe for them to undergo, gender change surgery if they feel like the opposite gender. It's getting crazy out here, man. Just the moral decay of this society. I mean, you got literally people out here. Like, I saw the grown man the other day, at Walmart being pushed around in a damn stroller, for Christ's sake. I had to do a double take. I'm like, what the hell? What the hell is this guy doing? Dude's in his late 50s being pushed around like a damn 5-year-old in a damn stroller. I mean, Christ. And then, of course, they can't forget. Then you go to damn Hungry Jack's, inside joke. You go to damn Burger King's and try to get a damn, burger. And what do you know? The dude serving you is a damn cross dresser, right? So you don't know what to, you know, call the guy. You don't know if you can call him a dude. You don't know if you can call him a girl. Because if you say the wrong thing, you might offend them. And, you could get in trouble for that. Like, say, for instance, one thing I found weird, like the other day, I was trying to fill out an application for something online, and there's a part of it where they ask your gender, and date of birth, and all that type of stuff. But you click on the gender, you would expect to see male or female, but there's like, oh, well, you can be custom, right? You can be custom. Do you want to call yourself a an Esauite, right? Do you want to call yourself a hobbit? Do you want to call yourself a a Martian? What do you want to call yourself? What do you identify yourself as? I mean, it's like, come on, this is getting bizarre out here, man. Right? This is getting bizarre. Like, literally, I don't know what the hell other type of wording to use. But all these people out here today, they're gonna be going out flying, their flag, being prideful. Hey, we all know that dumbass Jill on YouTube. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. That peon that's always in the comment section. He's out there flying his flag, and praising Mr. Trump, and praising his sweet baby Jesus. Hey, look, Jill, if you're listening, man, hey, listen up. Go ahead and fly your red, white, and blue. I'm going to make you code blue. Inside joke. But seriously, in all seriousness, that dummy is out there right now today, stuffing his face with, hot dogs and burgers and singing in sweet Jesus' name, flying his red, white, and blue. And then tomorrow he's going to get on YouTube and talk about the Bible and how, great America is under Donald Trump. And it's like, that's really a Christian that people are going to follow and believe on YouTube? I mean, come on, you can't be serious. You just cannot be serious. And then the average person out here, like, say, for instance, you go to the store, go to the shore, boardwalk, and you see these big tough dudes walking around with T-shirts that say, freedom was established in 1776. Or I've seen other guys wear shirts that say, I can't hear you over the sound of my freedom. It's like, okay, well, is America really like that number one most free nation on earth? Like, I mean, seriously, let's be rational for a second. First of all, do you know how many people are incarcerated in America? There are roughly 4 million people that are incarcerated across the 50 states. Meaning what? If people are slow and don't know what that means, incarceration means you're being put behind bars for usually multiple years at a time, right? So there's 4 million people across the United States right now as I speak who are sitting behind bars. And what did they do? Most of them did petty things. Like, say, for instance, maybe they drove on a road without a certain sticker on the car, or maybe they tried to, get a few $1,000 off their tax that they have to pay the government, or, maybe they jaywalked, or, some retarded, stupid shit like that. Very few amount of people in prison actually, like, took somebody else's life, or, severely beat somebody up. There's only a very few amount of people who did that. And then even with that being said, for certain of these crimes, like, say, for instance, with murder, according to the scriptures, which America claims that it's a nation under God, right? What's the word I'm looking for? Her anthem, and, her pledge, and, all that. They say a nation under God, right? We're all respectful of God. It's like, well, the law of God says that if a person does murder somebody, they're supposed to be put to death. That's what the Bible says. The Bible doesn't say they're supposed to be sitting around in a jail like an animal for like 50 or 60 years of their life. That's not what the Bible says. The Bible says if you take another man's life on purpose, like you willfully, sat there and waited for him to walk by and then you kill him, you're supposed to get killed for that. That's what the Bible says. So the Bible isn't with, locking people away for a lifetime and treating them like a caged animal. That's not what the Bible's with. So how the hell could America be a nation under God? And then second of all, how the hell can America be a nation under God if America disrespects God? And first of all, they don't even want God in the classroom anymore. Like, every school out here is pushing evolution, right? By vast majority, most schools out here in the United States and around the world, they push the doctrine of evolution, right? That, the world came into existence by a godless Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago. And, they'll push the Bible out of the schools. Like, say, for instance, I've seen over the last couple of years, there's petitions going on where they're trying to get people to sign the petition to try to get the Bible removed out of the school libraries. It's like, y'all don't even want the Bible in the school anymore? It's like, wow. And then another point with the schools, how could the schools be free if all the students at the schools have to wear the exact same uniform? Like a bunch of servants, right? Everybody has to look the same and think the same, right? Everybody's taught the same curriculum, and, everybody's taught the same education, right? And remember, in this society, you're considered to be wise and smart based upon how much indoctrination that you went through in your life, right? Depending on how high up in college you got and how many years you been there and what topics you studied, and graduating high school, right? All of that in this modern society determines how intelligent a person is. So the truth is, and the government's stance of what makes somebody intelligent and smart is what they're able to memorize and indoctrinate others with, and to repeat nonsense that they have no clue about. And that's just what it is. And it's really just sad and pathetic. Like, say, for instance, something I find strange is, like, I see these videos on YouTube where, like, say, for instance, a police officer might pull over, like, a lawyer or a, some citizen that knows they're right. And then they'll get into an argument back and forth about, is the officer pulling me over for this or that? Is it legal? And then the person's like, oh, well, I know my rights, right? I know my rights. And I'm thinking to myself, it's like, both of you guys are dummies and retards. Like, do you not both realize that you're just repeating bullshit that somebody made up and told you? First of all, how the hell can somebody give you a right that they don't have? Like think about that. Like, say, for instance, let's see, what's a good example I could give? Like, say, for instance, in the what is it called? The documents from the so-called founding fathers of America, right? There's multiple different documents they wrote, so I don't know exactly what one it's in, but you can look this up. But it says in there that the Congress of the United States has the power to lay tax and take tax from the population, right? But the question I got is, well, where did the founding fathers get that right to give down, though? They themselves don't have the right to steal your money, but according to them, the group called government and the Congress that rule over it, they do have the right to take your money. Well, how the hell does that make sense? Well, who the hell gave the founding fathers the right to give other people the right to steal your money and just call it tax? Like, that's just retarded. So again, the question should be asked, well, hold up a second. Who the hell gained the right to give me rights in the first place? How can they give me a right to do something that they themselves don't have the right to do? You get what I'm saying? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, there should be examples I could give, but having a little bit of a brain fog moment here of examples to think of. But anytime they try to tell you, oh, well, you got a right to do this, you got a right to do that, it's like, okay, but who gave me that right, though? But who gave me that right? Like who? It just makes no damn sense if you think about it. Like, how can you give other people rights that you yourself don't have? It logically makes no sense to think about. You see all these people out here walking around talking about, oh, I'm free, right? I am free, right? America is such a free country. I'm such a free citizen. But yet, the ironic part is then in the next breath, everybody will say, I am a law-abiding citizen, right? So let's get this straight. On one hand, they're a freedom-loving American, right? They have so much freedom in America. But then on the other hand, they confess that they are a law-abiding citizen. So what they're basically saying is, hey, look, I am totally free. I'm a free man. But then on the other hand, they're saying, I obey my masters. Whatever my master says, I do as he says. And that master being the U.S. government and the Congress, which rules over it and makes these rules and regulations. So logically, let's examine that claim. How can somebody be so free and so free they can't hear you over their freedom, like the t-shirts I mentioned earlier? But yeah, in the next sentence, they brag about how obedient they are to a ruling class. Like, that's literally such a contradiction of itself. You cannot be free, but then be a servant at the same time. Like, I mean, it's so remarkable to me how nobody ever thinks about these things. Like, how can you, on one hand, claim that you're a free man, but then on the other hand, admit, well, yes, I obey my masters over me. Whatever they say, I do. Right, so what they're basically saying is, hey, whatever the law of the land is, I obey. It's like, okay, well, first of all, do you know how many laws of the land there are? Because in America, there's over 40,000 written legislations and laws. First of all, I bet you don't follow all of them because your dumbass doesn't even know all of them. So how the hell could you be follow them? And then what I find funny as well is everybody out here is like, oh, we can't keep God's commandments, right? The God of the Bible, we really don't have to live by his commandments today and all that, nonsense. But on the other hand, they'll be like, well, yeah, follow man's law. Like, even say, for example, even this dummy on YouTube named The Preacher, a.k.a. Perry Green, he'll be there saying, hey, look, you don't have to follow God's law. God did away with all that. But you must follow man's law, though. Whatever man says, obey. But don't follow God's law. You can throw God's law in the garbage. But do obey whatever the U.S. government tells you. I mean, think about how weird that is for a second. Think about how retarded and strange that is. It's just so remarkable and strange to me how nobody ever thinks about this. So I've heard this slogan before. Now we'll move gears a little bit. I've heard this slogan before. The land of the free and the home of the tax. And, that's truly what America is. It's not the home of the free and land of the brave or whatever. And it's actually the land of the fee and the home of the tax. Everything you're taxed on in America. Right, everything. Like, say, for instance, there's, if you go out and purchase property, you still have to pay them to own that property. And if you don't, they'll come in and take it from you. If you want to build a structure on that, doesn't matter if it's just a little cabin or, a mansion or, a man-made pond or whatever, you have to get their written permission and most likely have to pay some type of fine and tax on top of that as well on your own property that you own. Say, hold up a second. So whatever happened to being so free? How the hell could I own a property but then have to pay some foreign power that supposedly claims this land that I purchased? Why do I have to pay them to put what I want on land that I own? Like, how can they tell me that I can't build a house on that land without paying them some type of tax for that property, or that structure on that property that I own? So aren't they basically saying that they still own that? I'll give you another example. If you claim you own a property, one of these homes out here, but you don't follow all of their written documents and commandments and fees, they'll come out and take your damn house from you, right? Take it as your own and do what they want with it. It's like, wow, whatever happened to being free? I mean, like what do people mean by being free in America? I mean, sure, you're allowed to go around and walk where you want. Well, shit, we see how many instances of people getting, mugged and shot and beaten up by police out here just for walking around on the street, looking suspicious, or just because of the color of their skin, for Christ's sake, or because of the color of the shirt that they're wearing. Like, I mean, seriously, it's bad out here, man. I see, black men getting beat up by police, even little children getting beat up and abused by police out here. It's crazy. It's undeniable that police in America are abuse their power, right? Police in America just abuse their power. And it's undeniable to see. But these people out there, whatever, they're forces of good, right? They're forces of good. It's like, okay, well, how does that make sense? Like, say, for instance, would you say that the Roman soldier, are they a source of good? They go out and do Caesar's commands. That's what an officer does. The officer makes an oath to, defend America against any aggressor, whether it be foreign or domestic, against any threat. And they swear to uplift the Constitution of the United States and for everything that she stands for, and to follow out the orders from the superior officers. So I'll ask the question again. By what form of reasoning could police be considered as good guys if their whole views are determined by the beast and his image and by his philosophies and ways? There's the Bible verse that says, if the ruler of a city is wicked, so are all the inhabitants. So why would police not be included in that if they're literally up there with the rulers of society, keeping the masses in oppression to those rulers? Another thing I want to mention, I was recently watching this game show by Mr. Beast. It's called Beast Games, and it's like a 10-part series. And the winner of this game show goes home with $10 million. So I'm not going to spoil what happens in the show in case anybody listening wants to watch that. I will not spoil it, but what I will say is the person who did win, it turns out when they got the 10 million for winning this game show, they fought hard and rightfully deserved. The government stepped in and took 5 million out of that 10 million and said, well, it's for tax. It's, the tax on it. It's like, hold up a second. What? This person just won this money by completing a game show, and you're just going to step in and steal half of the prize just because you say so? I mean, that's wicked right there. That is wickedness. So again, I'll ask the question, how can you be free if there's a power that rules over you, a gang who rules over you that can just come in and steal your possessions and money whenever they want? And they'll just say, well, it's the rules, right? Here's a fee for that, a tax for that. Like, say, for instance, I know somebody who was driving through these Easy Pass on the pass, what is it, the Fast Pass, right, on the highways, that, by the way, are built out of your tax-paying dollars. Remember that, right? The highways out here and roads are built off of your tax-paying dollars, but you're still paying to drive on those roads. Hold up a second. Why the hell are we still paying to drive on those roads if we're the ones who are paying to build the damn roads? That don't make any damn sense. But It ends up, sending us a bill for it. And if we didn't pay that, it goes up to $300 for each one. And if you don't pay it, they will hunt you down, beat you up, and put you in jail for a couple years. It's like, wow, that's wicked. So again, on this 4th of July, I want to challenge America. I want to challenge the red, white, and blue. I want to challenge America and what she stands for, because I condemn America as a authoritarian dictatorship. America is what she condemns. All right, America will sit there and condemn other nations such as Russia or North Korea or China and call them authoritative and oppressive of their population, which in fairness, that is true. That is true. I'm not going to lie and say it's not. That is true. But America is the same way too. America oppresses her citizens. America taxes her citizens to death. America is unfair. America is oppressive. And while it is true, there are other nations on earth who are more oppressive than America. That is true. But that does not give America a pass. Like, say, for instance, that's as retarded as saying, well, since North Korea is an authoritarian country, that must mean Russia is not an authoritarian country. That's retarded to say that. So yeah, America is an authoritarian country, but that doesn't mean it's the most authoritarian country on earth. But it doesn't mean that is not one, though. Like, you see the logic there? Like, say, for instance, one might say that China is a authoritarian country, which is true, but that does not mean that Russia is not a authoritarian country, even though it's to a lesser degree than China. So America falls under that category too, even though it's to a lesser degree to other foreign powers. But she's still on that list too. And that's obvious to see. Like, say, for instance, people will call themselves free, they're free, they're free. But do you know you're not able to leave the country without getting the government's written permission? So you're basically a bunch of free-range chickens is what the population is. You're allowed to roam where you want as long as you get their documents and IDs and paperwork. But you can't leave the country without getting their written permission. It's like, hold up a second. If they need to give you the permission to leave the country, doesn't that prove that you're a servant to them? If the master has to give his approval of you leaving his country for whatever reason, even if it's only for a week or two, doesn't that show that they think they own you? Think about that. And another thing, how is it that America is printing $2 billion every single hour? Let me say it again, $2 billion every single hour in the United States. But yet, people are complaining that we shouldn't even pay people $15 an hour for minimum wage. Like, say, for instance, McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King workers, oh, we can't pay them, $15 an hour. That's too much to flip burgers. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? A damn bar of soap out here is like, $10 at this point. Or a damn Jersey Mike's sandwich is like $25 at this point. Or a damn, 12-ounce bottle of soda is like, $3.80 at this point. And y'all can't pay people $15 or $20 an hour to flip burgers? This is bullshit. This is bullshit and oppression. This is oppression out here. And even if you're working on that minimal wage, they're still taking their tax out of it. So you're getting worked to death for nothing. They have a saying that goes, you're going to own nothing and you're going to be happy. As always, they told you a truth and they told you a lie. The truth they told you is that you will own nothing, but the lie they told you is that you'll be happy. Who the hell is happy in this society except the 1% who has it all? Who the hell is happy out here? Everybody is all strung out on drugs and antidepressants and, all this other bullshit going on in this society. Who the hell is happy out here? Everybody is sad and depressed. Everybody out here is through. Right? People out here in their 20s dropping dead mysteriously from heart attacks and shit. Shit, I'll give you an example. I'm in my 20s, but my body feels like, shit. Shit, I'm out here feeling like, hell, my body's ready for, end of life care at this point. That's how my body's aching and feeling. And I know other people my age agree with me on that. And you expect us to be out here busting our balls for another 40 years? Hell out of here. But I don't want to go on for a whole bunch longer. I just wanted to do a quick video speaking about a few of these subjects for July 4th today. Because it's like a tradition every year now at this point that I got to go on a rant for July 4th. Because hey, everybody out there is going to be shooting off their fireworks, stuffing their throat with hot dogs and wearing their red, white, and blue, just like our friend Jill, as I mentioned earlier. They're all going to be out there flying those flags and waving and screaming for their freedom. But they don't realize that they're just as oppressed as other nations. Like, seriously, here's a question I'll end off on. What separates America as number one compared to all the 197 countries on Earth? First of all, most Americans can't even point to 5 other countries on the map without showing the damn name of the country. Like, there is this YouTuber named Mark Dice who goes around the streets of like popular beaches around America and asks like random citizens questions about America's history and presidents and geography and things like that. And you'd be amazed at how stupid this is. Like, say for instance, he goes around and asks people, well, what year did America win its independence? And somebody was like, oh, well, like 1947 or 1812 or 1780. It's like, wow, y'all don't even know that shit. One of the bizarre ones is he went and asked people, well, how many stripes are on the American flag? How many stars are on the flag? Somebody's like, oh, is there 21? Is there like 15 stripes? Is there like 35 stars? And the real kick in the balls is he asked people, well, how many states make up America? Somebody's like 25, somebody's like 52, somebody's like 42. I mean, wow, this is crazy. And then he asked people, can you show me like 5 U.S. states on the map without showing the name of those states on this picture? And I kid you not, like literally 90% of the people he interviewed and asked a question to can't even point to like 5 different states on the map without showing the damn names of the states to them prior to it. It's just real bad out here. It is real damn bad. So again, the question I got is, what separates America as number one compared to all other nations on Earth? How is America considered that number one free nation? Like, how is America any more free than Brazil or Mexico or Ecuador or say India? Like what makes America any more free than those nations? Like, is there any rational answer anybody has for that? I don't think there is. And sure, to be fair, there are other nations on Earth that are more oppressive than the United States, but that does not mean America is not oppressive herself. Like, again, that's such a childish line of reasoning to conclude something like that. Just because, a foreign power might dominate over people, that must mean America don't. Like, that's just retarded to think that way. So again, I'll leave the video out with that question there. If anybody made it to the end of the video, put #blue, and I'm going to end the video there.